Welcome to Baseball Biz on Deck. I am Mark Corbett, and I'm waiting for my good friend, Mr. Matt Germain, and here he is, ready to join the meeting. All right, man. And with us is none other than Mr. Gordo himself from Play Tessie, talking about that team we all love to either love or hate, and that is the Boston Red Sox. Man, oh man, it is great to have you here today, Gordo. How you doing, man?
Good, guys. Thanks for having me.
It's an absolute pleasure, my friend. I tell you what, this season, I'll let Matt speak for himself, but for me, it has been completely different than whatever I thought it would be. I've mentioned before we started recording here, Matt, that so Gordo, you and I were looking maybe a 500 team for the Rays, and I didn't know what to expect when I look at the Red Sox. And we're so glad you're here because I'm looking and I'm thinking, my gosh, what a great pitching rotation. And seeing Sonny Gray the other night, oh my gosh, what a feat. What was it? 6 innings and 9 strikeouts? That is fun baseball.
Yeah, I mean the rotation, the Sox have their problems. The starting rotation, not one of them. The pitching staff in general, bullpen included, it's the best ERA in the American League in the month of May. So if you want to point to their problems, I mean it's pretty cut and dry. Like the starting rotation, even without Garrett Crochet, has been great. The
Yeah.
bullpen, when they're winning games, they typically don't blow them in the seventh inning or later. They got a pretty lockdown Slayton, Whitlock, Chapman trio right there at the end. But the issue is you got to get it there with a lead, and it's hard to have leads when you don't score many runs. And this team, they don't score many runs.
That is it. It's in baseball, is such a fickle thing. I was looking at a game the other day with the Atlanta Braves and the Marlins, and I see the final score: Marlins 12, Braves 0. And I'm thinking it makes no sense to me. But coming back to the Red Sox, it's like good gravy, man. You've really got a strong, like I said, pitching rotation. What do you think you need to see is from the offense? Is it new people? Is it new direction? What is it for the Red Sox to make that grow?
I think it's got to be a little bit of a couple of things. I mean, first off, you need guys that you've seen perform in the past and you know are capable of being good ball players to be good ball players. You look at the three, I believe, worst offensive seasons in Red Sox history by individual players are happening right now by three players on the team:
Hmm.
Trevor Story, Jarren Duran, and Caleb Durbin. And now Story's going to be out for a long time, so we'll take him out of the conversation. But Jarren Duran is a guy who a couple of years ago was top 10 in the MVP voting last year, a really good player, maybe not the 2024 level, but still a productive guy for you. And this year is just he's been to for lack of a better term, he's been useless for them. So I mean, you need guys like that to turn it around. You need ideally an addition somewhere in the infield to give some sort of injection of life into the offense. And you need Roman Anthony to be a little bit closer. First off, he needs to get healthy, but second of all, he needs to be closer to the guy they thought he would be this year, and further from the guy that he's been to this point. And really, the bar is so low. It was as of Sunday, so really only one day has passed since. But if they had exactly 4.5 runs a game, which is league average runs per game, is 4.5. If they just did that every single game this year, they would have the best record in baseball. At least
Yeah.
that's which is remarkable. But it just shows you how low the bar is. Like this team, if they're going to pitch like this, if they'll play defense like this, they don't need to have a top 5, 6 offense in baseball like most of the great Red Sox teams of my lifetime I've had. They pitch and they play defense enough where just average they would be a really good team. But I mean, to this point, they've been a bottom 3 offense in baseball, and there's really no argument to be had to say that they're any better than that.
Yeah, the odd thing is tonight, as the games are about to start, both the Red Sox and the Rays have allowed the same number of runs, identical, which is, it tells you everything about the offense on the Boston side that you need to know. Because with, like you're saying, the support being adequate, even just that, it would be there. Now, having said that, the Red Sox let both Rafael Devers and Alex Bregman go for different reasons at different times. But do you think that now through attrition, they've put the focus on players that are not able to make adjustments the same way that those professional style hitters would have been able to manage and to support the rest of the lineup? Because that's what I see is that there's a lot of feast or famine in that lineup, including Duran.
Well, first off, when you let guys like Rafael Devers and Alex Bregman go, I mean, if you'd told me last year it was we've got two all-star third basemen deking it out, and both of them want to play the position, and now it's Caleb Durbin's your third baseman. He's been one of the worst players in baseball. So it really is, it's you let stars go, and it does put a lot of pressure on guys that haven't done it yet. Like Wilson Contreras has had a really good year, but he's had a really good year for a guy who's hitting fifth and
Mhm.
is maybe the fourth or fifth or sixth best hitter on a really good team. But you're relying on guys like him and Abreu, who also probably should be in that third or fourth best hitter on a good team. You're relying on those guys to be your best and second best hitters. You're relying on guys like Caleb Durbin to be, I don't want to say middle of the order bats, but better than bottom portion of the order bats, because you've already got two positions allotted to guys that you have there for defense. Catcher is Narvaez. He's there for defense. Center
Mhm.
field, Cedon Rafaela. He's had a solid offensive season, but you and I both know he's there for his defense. So it puts a lot of pressure on guys who haven't done that and shouldn't be asked to do it. And honestly, the biggest victim of it has been Roman Anthony. Most of these
Mhm.
young kids, they come up and they're asked, hey, you're going to hit seventh in the lineup and you're going to have all these guys in front of you. And it's just, you develop as you go. With
But
him, it's you're going to hit leadoff. You're going to hit third. We
yeah.
need you to be our best player. We need you to be an MVP candidate, because if you're not, we're just not going to be a very good offensive team, because look around you.
What about Christian Campbell? Like, and the reason I ask about him is the same time that we're talking about the Red Sox offense struggling, their AAA team is leading the league in scoring. So there is talent on the doorstep. I know they've called some people up because of injuries recently, like Nick Solgaard and a couple of others that were having success in AAA, and X-Ray, by the way. So, Christian Campbell is one of those guys that was supposed to be a premier talent coming in and thought of, I would say, similarly to what Carson Williams was with the Rays, but with a better hit tool profile where he can actually get on base and not strike out as predominantly as Carson Williams would with the Rays. So what's going on with him? And is there anybody else in AAA that they could kind of call up and help the team out?
Well, I'll start with the second part of that question, because you mentioned Nick Sogard, and another one has been Mickey Gasper, and both those guys switch hitters who were playing great in AAA, and both have gotten their chances. And Sogard just got called up, so he's only had a couple games, but he's looked good. And Mickey Gasper has made such an impression on them. And I get it, the bar is low. You really don't have to do that much to be one of the better hitters on the team right now, but they've had him hitting second most games
Hmm.
in the last week. So yeah, there is some talent in AAA. Not necessarily like those guys are not big time prospects or anything, but clearly they've shown in AAA that, hey, we are capable of helping the big league team. And maybe they're not going to carry an offense or anything, but again, with the bar being so low, with as bad as some of these guys have been down there, those guys have been able to come up and secure spots in the lineup, and they are playing most days now.
Hmm.
As for Campbell, it's tough because you're right. I mean, huge ceiling. We saw it in the first month of the season last year, what he can be, but he hasn't been that guy. And even in AAA, he's shown stretches where he looks great, and then he's gone back down and he's had cold streaks. They're going to play it slow with him, and they have to. They really do, because you if you call him up again and it doesn't work, how many guys do you see get called up, sent down, called up, sent down, and it just hasn't worked both times, and they get sent down again? And how many of those guys? I mean, I guess we're seeing an example, Jordan Walker, this year in St. Louis, where it is possible, but you got to be careful with Campbell, because if he's not hitting for you, he's certainly not adding to your defense. And that's kind of been this one team's saving grace, has been the defense. So
Yeah.
unless you know he's going to come up and hit, unless he's tearing it up in AAA, like cannot hold him back. I don't think they can bring him up unless true emergency, they absolutely have to do it. I think they're going to slow play it with him. And I still do believe in the kid. I just, he got drafted. He played 1 year of minor league ball, and then he was in the big leagues. And I think he just has to take the slower track that 99% of major league prospects take. And hopefully it's at some point in time, even if it's next year, I think he'll get there. But from what I've seen this year, there have been a lot of things to get excited about, but it's not in the sense that he can come up and help this team right now.
Right. One of the things that they did though is they moved him to the outfield, which is interesting because you're talking about, you were mentioning before at third base or in the infield needing some help. He has a history of being in the infield. So my thought was, well, can he return to second base and then, or to even manage third? Is he that capable in the infield to do something like that? In which case, you can put Caleb Durbin back at second base. He's much more comfortable at second base, and I think that's why he's having issues right now, trying to fill that void at third base and putting too much pressure on himself there. It changes the whole chemistry of the team as well. I don't know what the rapport is between Christian Campbell, Roman Anthony, and all the young guys, but sometimes that whole melding of minds of a certain age and a certain group can help one another out and feeds the machine basically to get things rolling again. Um,
Yeah. I mean, Christian and Roman and Marcelo, they're all close. Roman Anthony and Marcelo Meyer called him Barry Bonds back in Double A together because he was having that incredible of a season.
yeah.
But you said it, he's been playing exclusively outfield, hasn't played an inning on the dirt this year.
Mm.
And considering the outfield logjam where they've got Roman Anthony, Jarren Duran, Cedon Rafaela, Wilyer Abreu, add Masataka Yoshida in there, that's 5 guys for 3 outfield spots plus a DH. And they're still only playing Christian Campbell out there, despite the fact that in the infield, like I said, I mean, Caleb Durbin and Trevor Story have been occupying 2 spots in the infield. Like, you could use help in the
Right.
infield, and they still haven't tried him on the dirt. I think it just speaks to how they view his infield defense. If it were me, I would go all in on trying to teach him one of second or third base and get him comfortable at one of those spots, because when is your team going to need an outfielder unless you make 2 pretty significant moves, which maybe that's in their near future, but they haven't done it yet. So for me, I mean, you'd be much more likely to be able to use the guy if he takes off offensively, if you taught him one of those 2 positions in the infield. I remember talking to him last year after he got optioned to AAA, and I asked him, what position on the diamond are you most comfortable with? Because he was working all over the place. He was playing second, he was playing first, he was playing all 3 outfield positions. Hey, where are you most comfortable? And he told me it's shortstop. And obviously, he's never going to be a major league shortstop, but most of these kids that are infielders come up playing shortstop.
Yeah.
So it's not surprising that that's the place he's most comfortable. But it does speak to the fact that, hey, like, this guy has been on the dirt most of his career. So if you could get him comfortable at second or at third, and we really haven't seen him at all at third,
Right.
if you could do that, that opens the door to, if he starts hitting, he can get a shot with this team. Whereas right now in the outfield, even if he's killing AAA pitching, there's still really just no place for him.
Right. So to me, you only leave him in the outfield if you're looking to open up trade possibilities, whether
Yeah.
that's him or somebody else, one or the other. Or, like you said, my thing is always, what do they have to lose? Right? You're
Right.
at the bottom of the division. You're having issues at third base. Caleb Durbin could probably use a spell in AAA at this point with how things are going. You do a little bit of a swapperoo, you get a look at him. He has the arm for it. I think he's athletic enough to get the range going. The question is the reflexes and just the throws across the diamond. Like, so measuring nose
Yeah.
out, and
The,
really, I don't want to say it's simple because it's definitely
no.
not.
The athleticism is why I've always believed he could do it, but they've just
Right.
never kept him at a position like a soul. Like, even when
Right.
he was playing second base, it's like, oh no, we're going to teach you first too. They've
Mhm.
never let him just sit there and try a position. Even in the minors, he was playing all over the place. It's
Mhm.
like, the kid's an athlete. Like, he can get it. You just got to let him try. I mean, at least that's my thought. They obviously know him better than me, and he has been a fine defender in the outfield. If you ask, like, where does he profile best, it
Mhm.
is the outfield. But unfortunately, and maybe it's a good problem to have, I guess, but there's just really never going to be an opening there unless you make multiple significant trades, because it's not like any of these outfielders they've got are even rentals.
The other thing I was going to ask is with the young group, and you've got a new manager now. How is that new relationship building
Yeah.
going between that new manager and the team right now? Do you feel like there's an uptick? Do you feel like there's a kind of a consistency being built in?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Chad Tracy, he's got relationships pre-existing this new role for him with a maybe 80% of the team. And he's a really calm, cool, collected guy, a player's manager, friendly guy, really friendly guy. And the players, particularly guys like Marcelo, like the kids that have come up through AAA recently, they all really like him. It's not to say anything against Alex Cora, because that team loved Alex Cora too. And when Cora got fired, you heard it from the players: Trevor Story, Garrett Whitlock, guys in that clubhouse, and they didn't get an explanation that they thought was sufficient from the front office right off the bat. But I'm not sure they could have gotten an explanation that they thought was sufficient, because that's their guy.
Yeah.
So it's been it's weird, just because they all really do love Trace, but at the same time, it's like, we didn't ask for this. We didn't ask for you to fire our manager. At the same
Eh,
time, you got a guy like Crochet saying it's our fault. You know, we didn't perform, and so we got our guy fired and we should be looking inward. And I thought that was a really good thing to say. But yeah, they're basically a 500 team since Chad Tracy took over. I'm not sure, fire the manager, don't fire the manager. I don't know how different it would have been because in the end, they had good pitching. We all said it going into the season. This team was going to have good pitching, and they don't have a good offense. And it's definitely worse than I think most people thought. But firing Alex Cora and firing the hitting coaches wasn't going to all of a sudden make a bunch of average to below average bats into the Los Angeles Dodgers.
Well, Matt and I were talking earlier this year too about the Red Sox that Cora was handed in spring training and what that was going to look like and trying to turn something quickly into a very competitive team with a lot of youth there as well.
And then the transition from Bregman basically over to the next core, right?
Yeah.
That's basically what you're doing. And I think when you're in the AL East more than any other division, you can have lulls here and there, but the margins are so thin. You're seeing it with the Orioles. Like the Orioles are a very talented team with a lineup that should be a beast. And they brought in Pete Alonso and they brought in, a lot of oomph to a lineup that honestly has all the talent to build around. But they never understood that you need the balance between offense and defense. And really, that's the thing that the Rays have been able to actually capitalize on most, that a lot of other teams aren't able to kind of find that niche, is that balance between, okay, this player gives me outstanding defense and he chips in offensively. Well, that's great. Emmanuel Margot would have been a good example, a player that a lot of teams would have walked away from. The Rays loved him. They put him in right field instead of center, and they let him go with it. If they had to put him in center, they did. So they had that versatility. But the pitchers applauded him constantly. Look at Nick Martinez this year, constantly applauding the defense behind him, and they're cheering each other on, and it kind of becomes this machine that keeps going and going. I don't think I've once seen a Red Sox player cheer other people on for a tremendous play that was made behind them. I don't know, maybe I don't watch enough Red Sox games, but it doesn't seem to be the same level. If anything, I see Trevor Story bobbling a heck of a lot of balls at shortstop and a lot of frustrated pitchers as a result on occasion. But the outfield defense, like you said, Rafaela, Duran, a couple of other guys have made some nice plays. That Rafaela, oh my God, so many tremendous plays in center field. I don't know why the front office hasn't really tried to replace Bregman and hasn't really focused more on going to get that next guy to kind of be the leadership guy. But the Red Sox have a leadership issue now that Cora and Bregman are both gone. And I think they need to rebuild their identity, and to give it all to Roman Anthony, all at once is not fair. I don't think there's a pitcher on there other than Garrett Crochet that's able to be the catalyst. And really, a pitcher can only do so much. There has to be a position player there that is the marquee guy that'll set the tone, and I don't know who that's going to be for them. Honestly, I don't know who's going to grow into that role yet.
Yeah, the truth is they've had good leaders come and go from this team for years. Like you had Xander left, and then they bring in Justin Turner, and he was awesome, great player, great leader. Yeah. They let him go the next year, and then it's Alex Bregman's turn, and he changes the organization. Now he's gone. You had Ref Snyder, who became a leader. He left. Mm-hmm. They've got some guys, but it's like Wilson Contreras, he's been really good. Guys respect him, but at the same time, he's 34. He's got another year left on his deal after this, but this doesn't seem like a guy who's going to be the veteran presence for several years to come and pass on the torch. They do need better veteran talent. There are a lot of young guys on this team, and there are not a lot of veteran voices, and maybe that's part of why the team has had a little bit of trouble kind of adjusting to this identity. Because I mean, you guys watch the Rays every night, and it's been like this for years. The Rays, the players that play for that team buy into what the team is. We're going to pitch, we're going to play defense, and we're going to do what we need to do offensively to win games. The Red Sox do the first two things, but we saw it with the series the Red Sox played the Rays. Tons of bunting, just doing things to just get on top, get a lead, and we can work with that. With the Red Sox, it's just to win games with pitching and defense, you got to steal bases, you got to bunt, you got to be a good situational ball club, and they just haven't really mastered any of those things. And whether it be a leadership thing, whether it be the caliber of players they have on the team, I don't know. But you haven't seen it to this point. But it really does it's so frustrating because you see again how low the threshold, how low the bar is, where it's like if they could just get even close to average,
So
which by bunting better, by stealing bases, by just scoring one more run per game,
Yeah.
you would get there.
do you have a feel on the organization and how they run the minors? Because one of the things with the Rays is that their mantra, that what you were just talking about, is something that is instilled from the FCL upwards. Every single coach and player buys into it. And it's fed the system all the way through so that when the guys arrive at the top, they are literally sold through and through. I don't want to say brainwashed into it, but they've
Drinking the
bought it.
Kool-Aid.
And yeah, and it breeds winning all the way through the minors. So right now I can look at the Rays system. 3 out of the 4 teams are above 500. One is just nearing it. Most of them are going to make the playoffs this year. And I know that that's the same thing annually. So what is the mantra that the Red Sox have in their system and is it strong historically on an annual basis?
I think this has been one of the gripes, and it's something that they've started to try and change. And we haven't heard, at least to this point, because it's so new, how it's been going. But in recent years, it's been totally analytics based. Like, we're going to try to improve guys' exit velocities. We're going to try to improve their barrel rates. Like, we're focused on those things. We're focused on the analytics. And it led to, up until this year, because obviously they've been the best defensive team in baseball so far this year, leading the league in DRS. But up until this year, and I guess last year they were good metrically, but they made a lot of errors. But the fundamentals were lacking in the majors. And a lot of that was attributed to the minors and not putting emphasis on fundamentals, not putting an emphasis on, as you say, winning baseball. And maybe they've made changes defensively, but we're not seeing a lot of changes offensively, like the situational hitting. Granted, I guess a lot of the guys that are with the team right now were not minor leaguers this year, so it's not like you're going to see changes, snap your fingers, and it's going to be all different. It's going to 180. But yeah, it has been a gripe that people have had with the organization, something they're striving to change and be better at I guess promoting winning. But make no mistake about it, like, they are analytics first, and that's a big reason why a lot of the coaches were fired, why Alex Cora was fired, is that it kind of felt like there were two different lessons being taught. And in the minors, we're going to talk about exit fields, we're going to talk about all this analytical stuff, we're going to do the drive line approach. Whereas in the majors, it's like, we've got a bunch of old school guys here, and we don't really do that. Yes, we've got some drive line types that Craig Breslow instilled here, but make no mistake about it, this is Alex Cora's team, and he's got his staff, and they do things their way. Now those guys are gone, and I suppose, if you want to put a positive spin on it, the organization is a little bit better aligned. But there's a lot of guys that were promoted to roles in the majors in the middle of the season, and a lot of guys that have not been in those roles before on major league teams. In fact, I don't think any of them have been in those roles on major league teams before. So sure, maybe the organization's a little bit better aligned in what they're trying to preach, but is that even for the best? Who knows?
Here's another thing, another positive that I'll spin on it is this organization and ownership really have been extremely aggressive in making changes when they feel like they need change. And to be quite honest, since the year 2000, no other franchise has been as successful at doing that. So you have 4 championships since 2000. Like, how many teams would give up a lot of things? The
True.
Dodgers would have spent billions of dollars and still have not reached that many. So there's a lot to be happy about, but the thing, it takes some time, right? There's an adjustment period and an aggressive spending that happens normally to get the right pieces in place. Do you feel like this time it's a little bit different because from what I'm hearing, ownership has other ownership and they have their own priorities. And so the backing financially isn't necessarily the same as you would expect in the past. Am I right in assuming that?
Yeah, look at the recent seasons as your evidence. I think after the Red Sox struggled in 2022, they made the playoffs in 21. It looked like they were kind of ready to get back on track after the tough 19 and 20 seasons. 2022 doesn't go well, and we're all expecting big things to happen. Really, nothing happened. 23, same thing. They missed the playoffs. We're expecting an adjustment. This ownership group in the past, when they missed the playoffs, and certainly when they missed the playoffs back-to-back years, they course correct, and whether it be for the better or for worse, they're going to try something, and they really didn't. A lot of it coincides with, as you mentioned, they've purchased other teams and they've sold the Penguins, but that doesn't mean that they're more focused on the Red Sox. Like, they invested in the PGA, they've got Roush Racing, they've still got Liverpool, they've got a ton of stuff that they have their eyes on too. So I don't think you can count on them doing any hardcore course correcting, at least as it pertains to the money. I mean, you saw the hardcore course correcting as it pertained to firing the coaching staff and the manager, but in terms of if they get to this offseason and they miss the playoffs, I know that in the late 2000s and the early 20 teens and the mid 20 teens, they missed the playoffs. I'm expecting them to do some stuff. I'm expecting them to make big changes. We're gonna fix this. I don't know. You can't have expectations going into off seasons with these guys anymore. It's not to say they don't spend money, because they did spend money this offseason, but I just don't think it's going to be like, hey, they missed the playoffs. Who's the biggest free agent on the board? Oh, it's Tarek Skubal. We're going to get that guy. I just don't think they're that ownership group anymore.
So what could you get on the market for $40 million? Right? That's essentially the difference between what they spent in 2018 and they won the World Series, than what they spent this year. So 43 million is the difference. So my question is always, okay, so if it worked really well for them at 230 or 233 million, and then the next year they had 236 million, they did well as well. It wasn't as great as whatever. But why would you then drop all the way down to, 180 million, to 170 million even in 2024, and now you're sitting in the 190s? When you're a large market team, you have one of the best fan bases in history in Major League Baseball. Like, there isn't really an excuse. And I think the Blue Jays learned their lesson in that. And they spent, and then look at what happened last year, right? They got to where they wanted to be because now they were able to pair the pitching, the great defense, and the on-base tenacity. So I question why the organization that, to be quite honest, would benefit more from having a winning Red Sox team than not, what their ambitions are. Like, did they win too many titles and they're just not hungry enough anymore? Could that be the problem? Yeah.
Maybe, because I mean, you can see it from their actions. Sam Kennedy can sit in front of a microphone and say that this ownership group cares about winning just as much as they always have, but the proof is in the pudding. Like, they're clearly not as aggressive as they used to be, whether it be because, as you said, they won 4 World Series and it's just they're not as hungry anymore, or whether it be because they've got other priorities or just people change. I don't know, but you can't make the argument when you look at where they were in regards to the rest of the league in spending. I mean, top dogs in the league in 2018, and they've barely been cracking top 10 and sometimes finishing outside the top 10 in recent years. I mean, it's just, that's what it's about. Like, yes, if you look at total dollars, but you look at, I mean, baseball inflation is big. Like, these teams are spending more, and there's more teams that are spending more than they ever have. And the Red Sox have been content to kind of keep it similar to where it's been and not grow with the teams like the Yankees and the Dodgers, who are adjusting to, now we've got teams like the Mets spending. We've got teams like the Phillies spending. We got teams like the Padres spending. It's all these teams are just adding to their payroll. And the Red Sox are just, I mean, we're spending our money and we're going to do it our way. And we see teams winning with less, like the Rays, they win with less, and it's possible to do. So we're going to try and do that. And
that's it. I think a lot of folks say the Rays way. And I thought that's one of the reasons you guys brought in Chaim Bloom years ago, was looking for that model, saying, okay, can we build a team with less money? What do we need to do that? And one of the things, as Matt was talking about earlier, is breeding from a farm system all the way up is one way of controlling some of those costs. But the expectation of being able to put that model on something that already has a strong framework like the Red Sox, which such a history, you just can't try to put a Volkswagen engine inside of a Porsche and still make it look like a Porsche. You know,
but it'll sound funny.
we started out with a Volkswagen, so it wasn't so bad. We souped it up. But
that's the thing, though, is it's the same thing as this year. It's like the Red Sox have the pitching and they've got the defense to be one of those teams that, hey, they can be that pitching and defense team, but they haven't, at least offensively, bought into the way you win games with those kinds of rosters,
right? Like
a team like the Rays has. You can see it. It's the difference. The Rays are sitting in first place. The Red Sox are sitting in last place. And that's literally the reason. Like the Rays, if you look at their names offensively, obviously Junior Camanero's there, and the Red Sox don't have a Junior Caminero, but everything outside of that, like, it's like the Rays have all these names that the Red Sox don't have. They just play the game the way you got to play it to win games with what they've got on the other side of the ball.
Well, I would say that the Rays trio of Diaz, Aranda, and Caminero is very similar to what the Red Sox used to have with David Ortiz, Manny Ramirez,
Yeah.
and Johnny Damon, right? They have catalysts that are going to carry the lineup day in, day out. And I don't know if you've watched Jonathan Aranda much.
No, he's a
Uh,
good player. He's a good
but
player.
he's outstanding at the plate, wears pitchers down. And the thing with all three of those guys, or I should say two of them, Aranda and Diaz, really, is they don't need to have pitchers be in the zone, right? And I think that's a bit of the issue with the Red Sox. Yoshida is one guy that I know is really disciplined at the plate, and you can't fool him basically. But outside of that, they I think they lost a lot of that when Bregman walked away. Their strikeout rates overall through the lineup are much higher than they've historically been. Am I right in assuming that, or
Yeah, the strikeouts, it hasn't been good. They're basically in the bottom 3 in the league in most offensive stats with strikeouts. It's bottom 10. So it's not good, but like there's a million other things that they're
right?
doing worse. So it seems like it's not as bad as it is. The thing is, you've got a couple of guys in the lineup. You look at Yoshida and Caleb Durbin, for example, guys that are really high up the rankings in terms of putting the ball in play. Like they're not going to strike out a lot.
Mhm.
But Yoshida hitting around 260, 700-ish OPS, maybe even lower now at this point. He's gone through a little bit of a slump. And Durbin, obviously one of the worst hitters in the league. And it's like, okay, you're putting the ball in play, but you're not doing anything with it. Then obviously you've got a bunch of other guys on the team that strike out a lot. I'm looking at Jarren Duran. I'm looking at Trevor Story, like guys that you expect to be impact players that are swinging and missing, chasing. Like the Red Sox swinging at balls outside the zone a ton. And they also let a lot of balls in the middle of the zone go by. Like the swing decisions have been brutal all year.
That's frustrating. Yeah, I don't want to scare you either, but I do want to touch on this because I think sometimes it can mean a lot, but sometimes it also wakes up a team and gets them performing for whatever reason. But the schedule that you guys have coming up is
It's
brutal.
bad.
Oh, you've got the Braves, the Guardians, the Orioles, Yankees, Rays, Texas Rangers, Blue Jays, and then the Mariners. All division leaders are near, very, very competitive, one or the other. And then you do have a break with the Rockies, but then you're back to the Yankees and the Nationals. Like that is a brutal month and a bit to go through. Like it's not going to be easy for them to turn things around during that stretch.
No, they've pissed away a pretty good run of opponents, and hopefully they can take care of business with the Royals. But that's a tall task because I don't think this Red Sox team really has earned the right to use the term "take care of business" because they're in the bottom barrel of teams with anyone else. You can look at any team and they're down there. But yeah, they've got, I think, maybe the hardest schedule in the league from now until the end of the season. I think it does
I would
rank
agree.
hardest in baseball.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I mean, I'll sit here and I'll talk about how low the bar is. Oh, if they could just score 4 runs a game, but at the same time, some of these teams they're going to be playing. Like I get the pitching has been great, but some of these teams, like particularly the Braves, and they did just face the Braves in 2 of the 3 games they held them at bay offensively. But you're not going to do that against all these teams, these good offenses they're going to face. Like you're not going to be holding these teams to 2 and 3 runs a game. And so far, this is maybe the craziest stat of them all. But when the Red Sox allow more than 2 runs this year, they're 6 and 26. More than 2 runs. That's crazy.
Oof. That is
That's
tough,
crazy.
man. That is tough.
And July's not any better. You've got the White Sox, which are doing well, the Mets,
Yeah,
which
they're
are
good.
turning things
Who'd have
around, the
guessed?
Rays again, the Orioles, the Blue Jays, the Dodgers, the Athletics. So my point is, and I'm leading to this, is you get to the trade deadline, you're still not in it. Let's just say, like, we have a decent argument to say, okay, you're not going to be leading the division by that point. So let's say the Red Sox are selling. What do they have to offer other teams at the trade deadline? And what would you like them to see? Are we talking tweaking? Are we talking like a significant turnover of players?
The trade deadline is going to be interesting. And let's assume for the sake of discussion that they're going to be selling.
Mhm.
They've got maybe one actual legitimate rental player on this team, and it's Sonny Gray. Everything else, like Aroldis Chapman has a vesting option. Wilson Contreras, like, yeah, he's a veteran, but he's got next year under contract too. You need offense. You're going to trade that guy away and now be even in an even deeper hole for next year. So in terms of rentals, there's not a lot. It's Sonny Gray. for me, if I'm the Red Sox at the deadline, if I'm selling, sure, go ahead and trade your rental Sonny Gray. You've got tons of starting pitching. Like, get what you can for him. Starting pitching always a premium at the deadline. You'll get something good if he keeps this up, if he keeps pitching well. I would, it's not a true sell. I would look to target some sort of offense that has team control.
Yeah.
Go for next year. And hey, you never know. Sometimes teams like we saw with the Cleveland Guardians, like they were all the way out of it last year. Like if you aim to win next year and add offense you need for next year, who knows what could happen this year, but you've already got a head start for next year's offense. And to me, that's got to be the most important thing. Like we're not doing a full rebuild. Like this team they've achieved it with the pitching. They've achieved it with the defense. Like they're not, even though the team is really bad right now, they're not leaps and bounds away. Like, oh my God, we need a full on retool reset. Like they could snap their fingers, add a couple of bats, and this is a really good team as soon as the second half of this year, but they have to actually do it.
Right. So the one thing I would mention, and I would deal Contreras for sure, because I know I can get a first baseman anywhere, like literally. So I can replace Contreras. Now the other players, I agree with you. Like I think you have to let players grow, and we've seen it with Jared Kelenic. We've seen it with the player you mentioned earlier, where they turn things around, but they have to be given that time, and you have to take that Jordan Walker kind of uh, point of view, because the value of those players once they figure it out is so tremendous that you can't find that on the free agent market, literally. But I would add that your pen, we've seen the Rays and other teams go and get 3, 4, 5 really impactful prospects that end up helping them out long term just by trading one or two or three of those relievers. And so when I look at the Red Sox pen, it's in the top 10 of the league easily. And you have those intriguing pieces. And it doesn't have to be Chapman. It can be the support cast behind that you're able to deal from and replace. As long as you're trusting your pitching staff and your development, you can go out and get guys. But they have guys that are performing really well, like Rivera, Slayton, Bello, Whitlock, Kelly. There's a lot of guys that have looked good and could have value for teams that are looking for niche help in those specific areas.
In terms of the bullpen, there's really one name, maybe two, I think you could look at the deadline, but it is the top dogs. It's Chapman and it's Whitlock. Because with Chapman, yes, he's got the vesting option, but if you're out of contention this year, you're basically asking yourself a year and a half from now, as he's approaching 40, is he going to be this dominant closer? And what can he get for us at the deadline? I mean, we see you look at what Jarren Duran got for the Twins at last year's deadline, like Mick Abel, that's a big piece. And Duran's got control and he's younger. I get it. But Chapman has been the best closer in the game, him and Mason Miller, for the last year and a half now. I mean, he's got a 1 ERA, less than 1 this year. I mean, he's been incredible. The other one would be Garrett Whitlock, who, if I'm the Red Sox, I would be really hesitant to trade because he's talk about a stabilizing force, a leader, a voice, someone that is just so cool, calm, and collected, and you want relievers to gravitate towards and be like that's the guy you want leading that unit. I'd be more open to dealing Chapman, but you'd have to be pretty far out of it, and you'd have to get a pretty good offer. Like, to me, I still see him as a piece that can help you next year. So if you get blown away, by all means go for it, but you're going to have to fill that spot in the offseason. You better be prepared to do it if you do trade him.
I could see the Rays going after Chapman, to be honest. Like it's the one area they've been aggressive in at the deadline is either a veteran reliever or a veteran hitter. And so if the Rays are really going to go for it this year, I could see them. And they've been making more in-division trades than ever before. They have the system. They're getting the number 2 pick overall this year. They're not going to be worrying about dealing from it as much as they normally would. I think that there's a chance that after having let Pete Fairbanks walk, literally, there's a good match there in terms of need and want. And the Rays, traded Boz to Orioles for a significant package that has a lot of really intriguing pieces I know the Red Sox would love to bring in. That's just an example of value that would be sitting there. But like I said, I don't know if that would really happen, but I could see it. Like I could see the Rays having interest in Aroldis Chapman.
I could too, definitely. I mean, short term, they've been, people think the Rays don't spend any money, but they've been more than willing to invest short term dollars in sure bet pieces. That's Aroldis Chapman right there. And the Rays have a good bullpen, but it's been kind of mix and match in the back. He's obviously as far from mix and match as it gets, and it would allow everyone to go down a slot. A good bullpen becomes even better.
Yeah, I've always thought of Pete Fairbanks as a stone cold assassin. You know, when you bring him in, he is the closer. And while we have some good folks that are close and relieve, I don't think of any of them as like, oh, that's the guy. That's the guy I absolutely can depend on to take that ninth inning and put it down. It's done. But yeah, I could. Aroldis Chapman, though, come on, dude. You know how many pitchers I have in my stable that can throw 96 miles an hour? Jeez. I'm making a reference to Kevin Cash from years ago. He made a comment to Booney after Aroldis Chapman hit one of our guys.
I'm more thinking like
Who was it?
Mike Brasso,
Yeah.
and that whole scene with the home run.
Yeah.
Like, that's what would get replayed over and over and over again if that happened. So it'd be interesting to see for sure.
Yeah, it would be different.
That was a great moment.
Hey, I did want to note something I saw Craig Calcaterra say, and he was actually a reference from a gentleman by the name of Ben Chomsky. He said that Sonny Gray last night, he struck out Bobby Witt Jr. for his 9th strikeout of the game, and that's his 1955th strikeout of his career, and that tied him with Bobby Witt Sr.'s total strikeouts. So,
That's crazy.
Crazy. Wow.
So Bobby Witt's total, 1900 senior, 55. That was the strikeout that Sonny Gray threw to throw out his son. So
and then people say there's no baseball gods. I mean, come on. Somebody's up there playing chess, I'm telling you. It's crazy.
That's wild.
Any other things we should know about the Red Sox that we haven't talked about thus far, Gordo?
No, man, dry pretty simple. It's they're not hitting, they're pitching. They're playing defense, they're not hitting.
Yeah.
It's as simple and cut. There's no underlying anything. The team is exactly what they look like.
What are you looking forward to most for the rest of the year? Like keeping that glass half full.
Getting Roman Anthony back.
Yeah.
That's the most important thing, and not just getting him back, but him being the player that we all know he can be and know he should be and have seen him be. Last year, he was one of the best hitters in baseball after his second week in the league, or he just took off. And we've seen it before, and I know he can be that guy, but it's going to take consistent playing time. It's going to take getting healthy, and hopefully not only is he back soon, but back and fully healthy, because he's not going to take off if he's playing banged up.
Yeah. That's awesome.
So if I'm going to be listening to Play Tessie podcast, what am I going to be hearing, buddy?
Yeah, we're doing 2 eps a week that are normal eps, and sometimes we drop bonuses. We got our first Who Says No of the season dropping the 20th Wednesday this week. So we'll be doing a lot of trade deadline stuff. We're leaning buy right now because it's early, but obviously if they fall more out of it, then we're going to start doing sell. But It'll always be just like where is the team in the standings? We'll buy, we'll sell. So we'll do a bunch of pods. We'll hopefully get some more interviews the rest of the way. But yeah, a bunch of good stuff. We're on Baseball Isn't Boring with Bradfo once a week as well. So you can find us there on the pod feed, on the radio on Sunday mornings. So really good stuff. The team, like we'll be there. The team may let you down, but we'll be there regardless.
All right, man. That's fantastic. Matt, you got any other questions or anything else you want to cover today, brother?
No other questions. I just want to say that every year I think that the Red Sox are going to do better than they actually do. So
Same.
I'm one of your off-season
every year
leaders.
Well, that's wish you guys all the best. Like I said, wish you all the best unless you're playing the Rays. But I'm looking at that cluster, man, at those 3, 4, and 5 in the AL East. Those teams. I mean, what is there, like a game between them almost? And I just keep waiting for one to percolate above the rest and climb on up into the AL East division number 1 and 2 spot. We'll see what happens, because baseball is a fickle little beast.
Oh yeah.
All righty. Well, I want to thank you again, Gordo, for joining us here today on Baseball Biz on Deck. It's been a pleasure having you here. I'm always glad to hear your insights and sharing what you do with us about the team. There's just gives our audience so much more depth than we see just looking through the pages of the paper. Thank you, sir, for joining us.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me.
Well, thank you all again for joining us here today, and we look forward to talking to you all again real soon.
Boneless.
Oh man, thank you so much, Gordo. That was a blast, brother.
Awesome, guys. Thank you for having me.
You've been listening to Baseball Biz on Deck, an interview with special guest and friend Gordo, Boston Red Sox analyst with the podcast Play Tessie. You can find Gordo's commentary also on X at @BossPortsGordo and also on Baseball Isn't Boring. Just a reminder, if you enjoyed this show, go ahead, like, and subscribe to Baseball Biz on Deck. You may also find Baseball Biz on Deck on YouTube at iHeartApple, Spotify, Amazon Music, and at baseballbizondeck.com. Also, you can find Matt at matgern.bskysocial. That's Matt at matgern.b Sky Social, or Mark at baseballbizondeck@gmail.com, and Baseball Biz on Deck with Facebook Social.